All right, so in this video, we'll be going to deal with the Minimax Regret, another criteria for the decision theory. So in this one, since we weren't able to discuss this face-to-face, so I apologize for that. And this, hopefully that you can definitely get this, how to do it. So let me define what is minimize regret. So for minimize regret, that is a decision-making strategy wherein we're using or use in decision theory and game theory to minimize the regret a decision maker might feel after making a choice. So for example, if you are choosing that one, if what will be the percentage or if you will might regret in the future, something like that. So when we say regret, as per the here, it refers to the difference between the payoff of the chosen alternatives and the payoff of the best alternative. So that's actually what will happen here. So we will be going to deduct the payoff of the chosen alternative with the payoff of the best alternative. That's what we are dealing here for the regret. That's what we mean. Now, the decision maker will create a regret matrix and identify the maximum regret for each possible alternative. So this is the thing that we'll be going to deal later on. So we need to create that matrix and we have to identify the maximum regret as well for each possible alternative. So there will be the steps that we are following as well later. So before that, what is regret matrix? Regret matrix, that is the decision maker creates a regret matrix which compares the sorry, regret from each choice in different possible scenarios, which is the states of the nature. So you are defining that here. What are those? Have to compare the regret from each choices in different possible scenarios. We'll begin to check that as it's vague as right now. For the Minimax regret, the decision maker tries to identify the maximum regret for each possible alternatives or choice, which is the worst case scenario for that decision. So then the decision makers select the alternatives with the smallest of these maximum regrets, effectively minimizing the potential regrets. So that is the step that is the possible thing that will happen in identifying the minimax regret. So considering that there is a specific step that we will begin to follow, construct a payoff matrix first, calculate the regret matrix, and then determine the maximum regret for each alternative and choosing the alternative with the minimum of the maximum regret. So how can we do it? Now, first, construct a payoff matrix. You have to list all the possible decisions or alternatives and the corresponding payoff for each possible state of nature or outcome. The rows typically represent decision alternative. So, amo na siya mga decision mo, alternative, in that first row and first column. And for the column naman, dira naman ang that is representing the possible future state. So this is your possible numbers here then. So that's something like that. So here, after that one, the next step will be calculating the regret matrix. So for each alternative, you find the maximum regret by subtracting the payoff for that alternative from the best possible payoff for a given state of nature. So i-deduct mo sila nga duwa. For each state of nature, identify the best payoff, then subtract each alternative payoff from this best value. So you have to first identify the best payoff, then that best payoff, you have to subtract each alternative payoff from that best payoff. So we'll begin to detail that later on in our example. Afterwards, you have to determine the maximum regret for each alternative after the computation may take place. For each decision alternative, the row in the regret matrix, you have to identify the maximum regret value across all states of nature. This represents the worst case regret for that choice. So we'll begin to illustrate that. So choose the alternative, the next step, with a minimum of the maximum regret. So comparing all the maximum regret identified in the step 3, we have to select the alternative, which is the maximum regret is the smallest. So the minimax regret, you will choose the smallest regret in those kind of results later. So suppose here that we do have an example for that. So Mr. Villegas, Banago Computer Cafe needs to decide how many additional computers to purchase for its cafe expansion. So uncertain about future demand, he'll use the Minimax Regret approach to determine this. So option one, he is buying if he's supposed to buy a 5 no computer for the small expansion, and for option two, there is a buying 10 no computers for medium expansion and buying 15 no computers for large expansion. So we will be going to identify what will be the good thing or what will be the case that could Villegas could certainly choose with those options. Next, possible future demand. Scenarios are possible future demand scenarios are low demand, few new customers for the few new customers. There will be medium demand for moderate new customers and high demand for many new customers. So the estimated monthly profit for each option under different demand labels, where for the option one, 20,000 for low demand, there is 30,000 for medium, there is 40,000 for high demand. And for option two, there is 15,000 for low demand and 35,000 for medium and 50,000 for high demand. So for option three, there is a low demand, 10,000 and 25,000 for medium and 60,000 for high. So how can we illustrate that one? First step, ano to gamit? We have to construct the payoff matrix. For constructing the payoff matrix, remember decision, then date, number. So let me illustrate that for you. Constructing a payoff matrix, as what I've mentioned earlier, that you have to list all the possible decisions here or alternatives and the corresponding payoff for each the possible state of nature. So the rows, muna siya, buy 5 new computers, 10 new computers, 15 new computers. So you have low demand, medium demand, and high demand. So it will be 20,000, it will be 30,000, and it will be 40,000, it will be 15,000, 35, 50, 10, and 25, and 60. So that's how you will construct the payoff matrix. So you can just come up with a table. After that one, we have to calculate the regret matrix. But before calculating the regret matrix, we need to definitely, since the regret is equals to the best payoff for a given demand minus the payoff chosen decision. So since we need to check the best payoff for a given demand first. So in this given demand, for the low demand, compare mo na siya tanan. You have to compare everything. What is the best alternatives right there? So the best alternatives, the best payoff for a given demand. So for that one, since we need to choose, is it 15, is it 10, is it 20? So the best will be 20. And for medium demand, is it 30, is it 35, 25? So the best is 35. And for high demand, is it 40, 50, or 60? So the best is 60. So that's why here, you can definitely check 20,000 for buy, that is in the category of buy 5. 35,000, that is in the category of buying 10. 60,000 is that is in category of buying 15. So that you need to really put this one as well. So here then, the next one, you need to calculate already since you have identified the best payoff. So you can calculate right now. So first that's a low demand, 20,000 minus 20,000, that equates to 0 as well. And 20,000 minus 15,000, your payoff will be will be your regret matrix. Your regret right now is 5,000. And then your regret here for the buying 15 new computers, 20,000 minus 10,000 is equals to 10,000. After that one, let's calculate for the medium demand. For this one, since our best payoff earlier we were able to identify is 35,000. So 35,000 minus 30,000 for buying new computers, 5 new computers, it will equate to 5,000. And for buying new computers, it will be 35,000 minus 35,000, it will become 0, 0 amount. And for buying 15 computers, it will be 35,000 minus 25, that equates to 10,000. Right now, for high demand, your best payoff earlier that we're able to identify is 60,000. So 60,000 minus the 40,000 of 5 new computers, it will equate to 20,000. So for buying 10 new computers, it will be 60,000 minus 50,000, it will be 10,000. Then 60,000 minus itself, it will be 0. So that's the regret for each demand cases. So for this one right now, after identifying, since we were able to calculate the regret matrix, the regret as well itself. So you have to determine the maximum regret for each alternative. So for that one, ibutang tatanandanay in our table. So you print out the table, it will become 0, 5,000, 20,000, 5,000, 0, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, and 0. So i-compare mo yung tanan, you will compare in your determine the maximum regret for each alternative. So for the alternatives of 5 new computers, after calculating, taking into consideration for low demand is 0, for medium is 5,000, for high demand is 20,000. So it means here we wanted to identify the maximum regret value. So the maximum regret value is 20,000. So that's why here that is for high demand for the buying 5 new computers. What about for buying 10 new computers? For comparing that one. For low, it's 5,000. For medium, it's 0. For high, it's 10,000. So the maximum amount in that case for the alternatives is 10,000, and that is for the high demand itself. And for buying 5 new computers, comparing the 3, low, medium, and high, 10,000, 10,000, and 0. So therefore, for buying new computers, it will be 10,000 for both low and high demand. Afterwards, you have to choose the alternatives with the minimum of the maximum regrets. So the minimum for them. So based on that one right now, i-choose mo ang minimum value sa amo ni siya nga na-get mga best earlier. So as we printed out here, 20, 10, and 10. What will be the minimum value right there? So it will be the smallest maximum regret is 10,000 for both buying 10 new computers and buying 15 new computers. But we only need to pick one alternatives. So the final decision for Mr. Villegas, he should compare buying 10 new computers. Kung mag-buy siya 10 computers, it will be small amount of money that he will be going to pay for the upfront. And it will, for buying 15 new computers, it will be a lot of money that he will pay for the upfront. So, therefore, taking into consideration, Mr. Villegas should buy 10 computers instead because since it has the same regret as buying 15 computers, but it will require less upfront investment. So, the best alternatives for that one right now is, of course, the 10,000 which pertains to the which pertains to this one right now. So that is 10 computers. So that's how you will deal with the Minimax regret. So I will be going to give you another example and make sure to comment down below in order for me to identify if you're able to clearly understand about this. Thank you.